Good morning. It is Social Stirred going live on the gram. Good morning. Good morning. Hopefully everybody's having a great, happy Thursday. Ooh, what's going on here? There we go. Got to adjust all that stuff. All right. Today, we're going to be talking about Gemini and this whole kind of big like freak out that happened. I actually happened to see it yesterday. There was a very popular Instagram account that posted about how you can take Gemini off of your browser. And everybody, I'm Hector Regalado, and over there is what the heck, my husband, my COO, my compadre, my ride or die.
Wow. Thank you for the introduction.
You're welcome. So today we're talking about Gemini being in your browser, all up in your business, and what that means. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is I happen to see this from a very large account on Instagram, did a whole carousel thing about, this is an invasion of privacy and blah, 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 blah. So here's the thing, though. I'm surprised that it's coming out right now. And I think you and I were discussing this earlier. We think it has to do with the fact that Google made a whole bunch of changes. They announced it last week. So we're going to go over that in today's show. Also want to talk about how it's going to impact brokers and what they should be doing with Gemini. So this was not a big surprise. I guess the whole reason why this caught my attention is that prior on the show, we had discussed Gemini. And I've actually talked about the fact that I actually like having Gemini in my browser because I obviously do, we create a lot of content, and I use Gemini for the most part to give me comma-separated keywords, rank SEO math descriptions, meta descriptions, and alt text for images. That's what I use Gemini for. I don't use it, I do sometimes use it for image. Like I actually go into Gemini and use it to create images. But even then, I find that Gemini is a bit of a pain in the butt to use, especially if you're trying to get a different image to go through, right? Like, so you have your prompt and then it gives you an image and you're like, I don't like that image. Try to do something different. And it will give you the same image. And it's like, ta-da!
Yeah.
And I'm like,
the old Nana Banana, to get stuck in that routine. It just kept on looping through. It might change a few things here and there, but it wasn't a big change or the change that you were expecting. I think with this new iteration of Nana Banana, people have been talking about how it's been a huge improvement over the first model. And that was something that I think Google actually was good about. They didn't just release one after another just to kind of keep up with everybody. They released Nana Banana and they waited.
Mm-hmm.
They had a huge, they allowed it to be used for a long period of time in comparison to other models that were just constantly, like almost weekly. It seemed like that they were releasing a new iteration of the whatever AI model that was out there. But yeah, I use it for the same thing. Basically, it's just to give me some ideas, get me started. And then I do a little, like I never really found it to be as useful as, let's say, Perplexity for research.
Mm-hmm.
It's website searches, just, they were okay. I mean, considering they're connected to Google itself, you would expect them to be a little more robust, but they just never really kicked off. You know what I mean? They just never really were that as informative as a Perplexity search. But
right. Yeah. So Gemini is now built into Chrome. I think that's actually probably the big thing that everybody is talking about. Again, not a big surprise to me, because when we updated a few months ago, it asked you, do you want to add Gemini? And I was like, hell yeah, I want to add Gemini. Why not? Right. So now it's directly in your browser experience. And so so next time you do a Google search, you might find it interesting that AI can now summarize web pages. It can compare information across. That's actually one of my favorite things with some of the updates that they've come up with, is that you can split screen now a tab. And
Right.
so like if I'm working on clients' content and I have Canva put up here and I have, their documentation put up on the other side, I have it all part of one screen. So that's cool. But you can compare information across tabs with this now. You can draft responses. It can help with research. And it's really AI assisted browsing. So one of the things that I think that needs to be reiterated is that Gemini only activates when you choose to use it, just like chat, just like Claude. So it's not a constant continuous conversation. It only activates when you choose to use it. So now, think about Chrome is now an AI browser, and this should help commercial real estate brokers because they can use it as a workflow tool, right? They can use it as an assistant, and it can be an automation layer, right?
Mm.
So when we're talking about workflow tools, like what are some of the things that you would think a broker would want to create a workflow for using this?
Probably the most basic one, email organization. You want to know what's come in for the day, what's important, what needs to be responded to immediately, and what is just junk, right? I think that cleaning up, everybody has to some extent, um, and they could use an AI to help clean up their email. Because I mean, the amount of emails that I get, and I could just imagine some of these brokers that are just doing deals and have constant communication with all clients across all those deals. The amount of emails that are coming in on a daily basis is astronomical, right?
Mm.
So I think the simplest and most big and most useful tool would be something to clean up their email.
Okay. How would I guess the best thing that I could say is that, obviously there's certain steps and things that people have to take to make that happen. But again, you could probably go into Google and go, how do I automate this workflow? Google is definitely, so we looked at Google as a search engine, and this is another point that I want to make about SEO. Good morning, Lois Weiss, joining us over on the gram. It's great to see you. We're talking about Google and how they just implemented really Gemini across the board, and so now we're doing AI search versus actual just search engine. So I think, I know people create content to get clicks. And so we were actually supposed to do a different show. But I was like, I don't like it when people, I didn't like this in the news. I don't like it. I don't like it when people either catastrophize. Wow, I can't say that word. When they make a bigger deal about something than it actually is, right?
Right.
The one that I'm specifically talking about, he's saying, oh, they dropped it and they didn't tell you. And I'm like, they did tell you. You freaking had to click a button, right? Like
Right.
you had to agree. And so stuff like that just really, really like bugs me. And now it's like, now with the changes that they've come out, and again, now Google has Gemini built in. I don't understand why this is such a surprise to people.
Exactly.
Yes, Lois, it has been doing it quietly for a while. Exactly. It's been doing it quietly for a while. I mean, it's just, it's been there. And again, like I'm saying, like with Gemini, I can see the little tab up on my browser. It says Ask Gemini. I use it. And I was explaining that I use it for, like, I don't use it for actual search. I use it to help with alt text. I use it to help with comma separated keywords. So I'm looking at it as a way to help me and assist me in doing content in a faster way. Because if I
Right.
had to sit there and go through all, and so like literally I have Gemini read the tab that I'm on. And then I say, give me comma separated keywords that I can put this into a blog post, right? So like, because if you know WordPress or you know any, you can choose your keywords that you want. And so then it'll give me like 20 keywords. Perfect. Copy, paste, boom, done. Versus me now having to type everything in or go through and search and find those things. My favorite thing to use it for is alt text on images. You should definitely be using, particularly on websites, because, and I say this, I don't know how it's going to change, honestly, because with this change to Google and Gemini now being integrated into it, can it now read images?
I don't think it's there yet, and the reason why I don't think it's there yet is because it's Google's still using their search engines to go out and read websites as a main search engine, right? The AI side of it is not completely on board, and you're right about using it as the tool that it should be used. Google is such a massive company across the board. For anybody to be surprised that Google is now doing what they're doing, that's like saying, I'm surprised Apple came out with a new iPhone. Really? Yeah. It's just part of the game.
Right. Yeah. And we've discussed this before. And again, this is not like such a big surprise to all of us who have been using AI for quite some time now. Good morning, Jean, and good morning, Jennifer Woolman, joining us over on the gram. I think it makes sense. And it just goes around to the fact that, again, SEO is not dead. It is now becoming AEO. It is all the same things still come into play. Some of the older stuff that you used to do to rank higher in search engines is probably not going to it's probably not going to play as well as it used to, because this is going to change traffic patterns. It's going to change discoverability, and it's going to change your content strategy. Do you produce authority content, whether it's on social media or it's on your blog posts? We know that Google owns YouTube. So
Right.
looking at all that stuff, I'm a big proponent of having a podcast. This is technically not a podcast. This is a show. And I discussed that a while back after we came back from social media marketing world, that you need to have an actual RSS feed podcast audio. And so eventually we'll make that. It's not there yet, but eventually we'll get there, and we'll take the audio of these and start putting them on Spotify. Yeah. So we actually have a podcast. This is technically just a live show, but because I know that Google is scrolling YouTube, I specifically design our show episodes to be SEO and AEO optimized, so that when I get a description for it, that description already is built in there, right? So it has all the information. It's answering questions. And I think that's another thing that people need to think about is when we're talking about discoverability, indexability, and searchability. Again, everything that AEO wants, right? Structured information matters now more than ever. So what
Definitely.
is structured information, right? Lois says Spotify allows you to take clips now and save and share them. That's fabulous, Lois. I know we have clients that we that we specifically work on their podcasts, and we upload to Spotify for them, and then it gets distributed. Amy Calandrino, good morning. Thanks for joining us over on the gram. But that's your structured format. So when we talk about structured format, this is LinkedIn articles with your H1, H2, your headline 1, your headline 2. This is blog posts. So it's kind of funny that people are like, oh, blogs are dying. No, they're not. Now you actually have to be intentional with them and about their structure and the hierarchy that's coming. And there's a reason why, because when people are searching in Google, who is the best industrial broker in Dallas, right? they're expecting to get an answer, and those answers like have to come from content that is authority content. And where
Correct.
is it pulling that authority content from? From LinkedIn. It's pulling that authority content from YouTube, from Reddit. And so like knowing that that content has structure, it's answering questions, it's going to change how people do things, right? So there's a
Well,
difference between being influential on social media. This is getting way off topic, I'm so sorry. There's a difference between being influential and creating content for social, and then having a strategy and knowing that some of your content has to be structured so that you can get found on the answer engines.
right. And going back to the blog, blogs are not dead. In fact, that's structure, right? So
Yep.
the search engines are, or the AI engines are picking things up off of your website as well. It's not only socials; it's also your website. And if it's structured properly, it's getting that information directly from you. So why wouldn't you have a blog post that talks about you and has all the information that the AI agents or the AI search engines are looking for? It,
Right.
it it all ties in together, right? So no, blog posts are definitely not dead.
Well, and here's something else you and I also saw, which good morning, Holly Pennington and Louie. Thanks for joining us over on the gram. We're talking about the changes that that Google made recently and the big hullabaloo that everybody's having about it. You and I actually saw something as well where somebody was claiming that FAQs on websites are dead. And
No,
you and I both looked at each other. We're like,
no. In fact,
no.
that's one of the biggest parts of the website that's being picked up. And the questions aren't just like uh, basic like how do I contact you, or it has to be an actual question, as in a natural conversation type question that you're having with somebody else. It has to be posed in that way, and the answer has to be also in the same kind of flow, right? It's a conversational, and that is getting picked up. So traditional FAQs, what color is my background? Well, that's those kind of questions are dead. They have to be more robust. It has to be a conversational question and a conversational answer, and you'll see that they do very well.
Yeah. It's interesting how much misinformation comes out when something like this drops. Um, and you sit there and you're like,
Where did
please cite your source. Tell us where you got this information from, because this is against everything that we've heard. So again, I'm talking about why people were kind of like freaking out about the whole AI being dropped in Chrome. Some of the benefits are it's faster responses, right? You actually have it actually trying to work faster for you. But the concerns are, of course, off because it's a large file. I guess it's a large program. I think it's the one that I was reading is like 4 gigs, right? So when the browser update, it added 4 gigs. So there's concerns about storage usage, and there's also privacy worries and transparency complaints. So that's where some of the public backlash is coming, and understandable, right? It's there are obviously privacy concerns, but if you're and I don't mean to be flippant, but if you're on the internet,
Yeah, there's a privacy is very limited, right? And of course you always have the you can always opt out.
yes.
There are other search engines other than Google.
Okay. So I love that you brought that up, because after this was announced, DuckDuckGo that was another article that I saw, ended up seeing downloads increase by like, I don't know what the percentage was. It was like 200, 300%, right? DuckDuckGo, if you're not familiar with it, is a browser. It's I don't want to say it's completely anonymous, but it basically, stuff
It's a
doesn't
true
follow
summary.
you. Yeah, it doesn't, stuff doesn't follow you around the internet when you're using DuckDuckGo. So I mean, good for them. But the other thing that is interesting is this isn't, you should be looking at this as, personally, I think people, and especially brokers, should be looking at this as, how can I use this update, especially if you're using Chrome, how can I use this update to help me research faster, right?
Right.
You can get Gemini to summarize articles. You can get it to, again, I've told you, I have, when I do the split screen, like I'm using Gemini for stuff that takes me time that I don't want to spend time doing. Writing alt text, right? Writing keywords, trying to figure out what the best keyword is. And now I asked Gemini, what's the focus keyword for this? What's the alt text for this image? And because I put it in so many times, now Gemini responds, the SEO and AEO best search term is, and it'll give me that, or it'll tell me that this is optimized for SEO and AEO for my keywords, because that's what I'm constantly asking. I
Right.
want my content to be search engine optimized and answer engine optimized. I need my descriptions search engine optimized and answer engine optimized. So think about, for our brokers, use Gemini to summarize those articles, right? The too long didn't read version of what you're trying to do. Sometimes, like, there's Wall Street Journal posts that just go on forever, and I'm just like, dude, I don't have enough brain capacity to read all this. My other favorite thing to do is, if I have a client that's quoted in an article, I'll ask Gemini, find my client's quote, this is their name. And it'll go through and it'll find the quote for me. So then I can take that quote and create a quote graphic, right? So it's making it easier for me to do my work versus having to sit there, go through the article. Okay, here they are. They finally got mentioned. Now we're 3/4 of the way down. And now I've wasted, 7 minutes reading this article, which doesn't seem like a lot in the grand scheme of things. But when you're working at scale, like 7 minutes is 7 minutes. I think brokers should be using it to pull key takeaways from different content, organize the research, and help them explain concepts quickly, because obviously we know that speed matters, right? I think the other thing that they could be doing with is, they can get Gemini to summarize market updates, organize them, draft outlines, create captions, and then generate those FAQs. We talked about that before.
Right. So getting a lot of the busy work out of the way that doesn't, one, it takes a lot of time out of your schedule, but two, it's those are all things that, one, doesn't compromise client information. Two, it keeps you on track because you can knock those out. Those are and I'm sure a lot of people do a daily list of what they need to do through the day. These are those wins. These are those simple little wins that, one, take a lot of your time and disrupt your day, but you can check those things off.
Right.
I did the summarize for this. I organized this. I drafted these outlines. These wins are huge for you at the end of the day, and it saves you the time that would have normally, it would have beaten up, what, half your day,
Right.
even quarter of your day.
I think in one case, it could be better client communication, where you're having it help you follow up, do follow up emails, meeting summaries. You can get recap notes, do proposal outlines, just, and it's not replacing your voice, right? Basically what it's doing is it's giving you a starting point so that you're not wasting those. I always talk about wasting the brain cells. So you're not wasting those brain cells trying to, like, you're sitting there staring at a blank page, like, okay, what am I doing? What am I supposed to write? And maybe some people aren't like that. And if you're not like that, like, wow, you're so lucky. But I don't know how many times that I've sat down and I've stared at a blank page and been like, I got nothing. I got nothing. My brain's dead. I'm done.
Right.
So I think last but not least, let's talk about what this means for SEO, AEO, and visibility,
Okay.
especially for our brokers. Google is increasingly prioritizing authority. So we talk about authority content, clarity, the structured information, trusted sources, and useful content. And this matters because if you're not publishing, you don't exist digitally, you can't train discoverability, and you're not building authority. So all of the, all of these people are like, oh, I don't want to be on social media. I don't want to produce content. Okay, if you're not doing it, somebody else is, and they're being found.
True.
The brokers that are creating content today are training the search systems of tomorrow, right? We think about Bob Knackel and all of the content that he's created over the last 40 some odd years of his career, right? Now they're employing that and they're using all of that content, and he's being found, right? Beth Azor has a lot of content, over 900 videos on YouTube between long form and short form. I can guarantee you she gets calls on her podcast. I own a shopping center, now what? Because that's literally what her, the people that she's talking to right now, their parents have passed away. They've inherited a shopping center. I own a shopping center, now what? What do I do with it? I mean, it's like literally, it's conversations that she's having. So she has this podcast where she talks about that. And that's valuable information for somebody who's in that situation.
Right.
It's the same thing with Strip Mall Guy and how he talks about, obviously strip malls. We know that that's what he does. He talks about it on social, and he gets found that way. So if you need to be creating content today so that you can train the AIs that you exist tomorrow.
Great. So now tell me, what's coming up for you tomorrow?
Oh, actually, it's today. It's today.
Oh, that's right. It's today, isn't it?
Yes, actually, this is a perfect segue into that. So I will be on a panel for SAOR. We are doing it's for their tech committee, and we're going to be talking about agentic search. If you want, it's free to everybody. You don't have to be an SIOR member to actually join. It starts at 11 a.m. Pacific time, so that's 2 p.m. Eastern. Hold on, let me check my phone and make sure that I'm giving you the right time, because let me check my calendar because I might be wrong on that. Hold on. Nope, I'm right. It's answer engine optimization, how brokers get recommended by AI. It's not just me. I'm on the panel. It is going to be me and I forget the gentleman. There's two other gentlemen that will be on there talking about what they do. And their stuff is super fascinating. It's got layers.
Oh, okay.
Like what I do, just talking about creating content. So that starts at 11 a.m. If you guys want the link for that, I can definitely send it to you. Just DM me and I'll send it over to you. But no, that's happening today.
That sounds like it's going to be a pretty informative panel.
I think it's going to be a pretty informative because it has to do with obviously getting found, right?
Right.
And then what kind of content are you creating to get found? So it's those two different positioning pieces. Amy, yeah, that's happening today. It's at 11 a.m., which is why I'm not making the CREI, which is why I'm not making the CREI Summit marketing call. We have a marketing meeting. It's a stand-up meeting for 15 minutes, and I'm not making it today because I'm going to be on this panel. So I hope you guys can make it. We actually have you and me, sir. We have plans this weekend. We're going to go get pedicures. Very excited. Right. Very, very excited. Very, very excited. But if anybody has any questions about automation, websites, how to get found on search, just let us know. We are available. My name is Mo Regalado. That gentleman right there is my ride or die. He is what the heck, and his name's Hector. He is my COO, and he helps me out here in the business, and I'm super grateful to have him here. Anyway, Everybody, we'll see you back here Tuesday. Oh, next Thursday.
Right.
Thursday, I will be talking with Alan Buchanan. We're going to be talking the sequence. We're going to be talking business and his travels with his grandchildren, because I think that is some of the coolest stuff that he does. It is so cool. All right, everybody, we'll see you back here on Tuesday. Bye.
Bye, everybody.